Okay, so today we're gonna do our first recipe for tea time. We are going to be making chocolate chip cookies. So first thing we're gonna start with is creaming your butter and brown sugar together. So we are using 1 stick of butter. We're gonna stick it right on here. You wanna make sure it's soft so it'll cream together. Normally what I will do to soften it up is I'll just stick it on my stove while I'm preheating my oven. Oh, preheat the oven to 350. And then I'll just set it on top of the stove. My girls are over here also making cookies, so you know. Then we're gonna dump our brown sugar in there. We're using 3/4 cups of brown sugar. And we're gonna cream those together. You can use a standing mixer like I am, or my girls over here are just using their muscle strength. Here we go. Say hi, girls. Hi. All right. So they're making their classic chocolate chip. I'm gonna make a little bit of a variation, and I'm gonna actually use espresso chips because, you know, that sounds good. So you're gonna go ahead and cream those together. Let's move you guys' bowls out of the way. Olivia, let her help, okay? You'll be able to do it in a minute, okay? And you want to cream those together till they're nice and pretty smooth. Alright, I'm going to slow this down so you can hear me. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to add our egg and vanilla. Be really careful, otherwise the only way to guarantee you're not going to get any shells in there is to crack it over another bowl and then pour it in. I didn't do that because I'm lame. So that's 1 large egg. And let's see what we got. 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And let that continue to mix together. Girls, I'm going to go ahead and do this for you. And go ahead and throw your egg in there too, Lily. Let those mix up, and they're starting to look really nice. Next thing we're going to be doing is adding in the flour and the salt. Alright, I've already pre-sorted out our salt. It's a 1/4 teaspoon. Not very much, but you know, it's enough. Now the thing is, when you're doing flour on this, is you don't want to just scoop up with your measuring cups. You want to actually take your spoon, scoop it up, and fill up your measuring cup so that it doesn't get packed. We are using 1 1/4 cup of flour. All right, so now we are currently mixing that 1 1/4 cups of flour in there as well. So now we have everything in here with the exception of our chips, and it's going to go ahead and keep mixing together. Lily, let her do some.
I did.
Do some more. Do some more. The girls over here are fighting over who gets to.
Flour?
Yes, you can add your flour and your salt. Would you pardon me a moment? We're going to get a tissue so she can wipe her hands.
You want to add the salt?
All right, so at this point I'm going to turn this off and open this up so you can see what it's looking like. So it's nice and smooth. Looking very pretty.
I know, let me just put the flour back, right?
Girls keep fighting. I'm gonna have to do a music over the top of us so people can't hear you guys. Oh, okay. Are we gonna be nice to each other then?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm gonna pull this off of here and come show you. By the way, if you ever see one of these videos, Uncle Lonnie, thank you. This is the standing mixer you got us for our wedding 16 years ago. Thank you. So here we go. It's nice and soft. You're fine. You'll get to put the chips in, okay? So next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna mix in the chocolate chips or chips of your choice. In my case, I'm using the espresso chips. So we're gonna go ahead and pour these in. And you don't really, I'm not gonna use the mixer on this. I'm just gonna sort of turn them in here. Because I don't want them getting all broken up. All right, so this recipe makes about 12 or so medium large cookies, depending your opinion of medium or large, I guess. Lily, would you please hold the bowl so she can stir it? Thank you.
But she's saying I messed it up.
All right. So now you can see I've got my chips mixed in. This is 1 cup of chips in there as well. I mean, you can add more. You can add nuts. You can add toffee. You know, they're chocolate chip cookies. You can do pretty much anything you want with them to make them your own and have fun with it. I will be right back with a cookie sheet and we'll get ready to put them on there. All right, so here I have my cookie sheet and I have my dough. I'm going to put on here sort of relatively large mounds. So it's about 2 tablespoons. All right, we don't want to go crazy with how many we put on the cookie sheet. So, girls.
I'm just scraping the edges off.
Sure. Why don't you go ahead and fold in your, So I'm going to take a handful here, about 2 tablespoons, not, you know, a huge amount. And we're going to start putting it on. You may put, all right, ladies. Lily, would you let her put some of the, you guys can each take a handful and put them in. We're going to take mounds, put them on there. They're a bit sticky. You can dip your hands in flour to keep them from sticking too much. You can make them bigger or smaller.
Mix it together.
Whatever you like. Just bear in mind if you make them too much smaller or bigger, that it'll adjust your cooking time. I am not putting very many on here because I don't. Yes, my dear. This is my life. So I am going to finish filling this up. I'm actually doing 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them on this one big tray, solely because I haven't done this recipe recently, and I want to make sure that I am getting enough on my tray, or that I'm not going to have them melt into one another. All right, so I'm going to go ahead, wipe my hands off. I'm going to go and check my oven, see if I'm fully ready to go. It's going to go in the oven for about 8 to 12 minutes, and we'll be back and see where we're at, okay? All right, so since it said 8 to 12 minutes, I went ahead and threw mine in for 11 at the moment. But I'm going to go over the recipe with you guys for a minute while that is cooking, just to make sure that we got everything. So it's 1 stick of soft butter, 3/4 cup of brown sugar, 1 large egg, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, which is ultimately optional, but you know, vanilla makes our cookies taste good. A 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1 1/4 cup of flour, and again, you want to spoon it into your cups, not just scoop, otherwise you could end up with too much flour. And a cup of chocolate chips or any other, you know, tasty victuals of your choice. Again, for mine, I'm using espresso chips. The girls, they're using bittersweet chocolate chips. We're actually going to be redoing this again for my students' lab on Wednesday, and we're going to do a mix of those two, because to be perfectly honest, it uses up what we have left from the bags we did today. You can do more, you can do less, whatever. You can add nuts, you can do butterscotch, you could do break up candy bar and throw it in there, whatever. It's cookies. They're yummy. Make them yummy. We're going to go through our steps real quick. Hang on, Olivia. You're going to cream together your butter and brown sugar. That's looking very good, Olivia. Why don't you guys go get your cookie sheet and start putting it onto the cookie sheet. All right, so you're going to cream together your butter and brown sugar. And then you're going to add your egg, one large egg, and your teaspoon of vanilla. Let that mix. Once it's mixed, you're going to add your salt and your flour. Once that's all mixed, you will fold in your chocolate chips or candy or whatever. Once that's all sort of mixed in there, you're going to put it out onto your cookie sheets. Don't let it get too close together, because if they're too close together, they will flatten out and mold into one another, and then you'll have a giant pan cookie rather than individual cookies. All right, I'm going to go ahead and pause the video for a few minutes until we pull the cookies out of the oven, and then let you see where we're at, okay? Okay, so we have our first batch out of the oven. They're quite lovely. They're yummy. They're a little soft in the sense, and actually I ended up putting them for an extra 2 minutes, so these were in for 13 minutes. I might consider going a little smaller on the size. That's small. Go ahead. So, but they're very, very tasty. Again, with these cookies, you want to make sure you let them sit on the cookie sheet a little longer. After you pull them out of the oven, let them continue cooking for a minute. But really, how done they are at that point is entirely up to you. So I really hope you enjoyed making chocolate chip cookies with us, and we'll see you next time, okay? Bye.